I have built an empire on human sin. I am feared by the honest and the wicked. Elected officials obey my will as swiftly as the lowest pimps and pushers. I have everything I desired. Everything I desired until I met you. This is how Daredevil Love and War begins.
Say, it's Miller time.
Hey, it's D, and it's time to continue Frank Miller's summer on this channel because why not? We seem to be in a bit of a Daredevil renaissance this year, from Daredevil being in that Spider-Man cartoon, Daredevil Unleash Hell, not Ahmed's Daredevil run, though that's ending soon, the fantastic new book Cold Day in Hell, and of course the Frankenstein mess Daredevil Born Again, which I did actually like those. I like the show, I'm sorry. Daredevil has become popular again, and as a result, I've been reading a lot more Daredevil comic books. Today we're going to talk about a chapter of Frank Miller's Daredevil saga. Not Born Again or Man Without Fear, but the one-off graphic novel called Love and War by Frank Miller and Bill Sienkiewicz. This one-shot graphic novel was made alongside their work on Electro Assassin, which I'll have to cover one day. I love that book. And it came out months after Miller's most iconic Daredevil work, Daredevil Born Again. People, children, like to act like Miller's effect on Daredevil is limited to introducing Elektra and writing Born Again, and that's simply untrue. Mostly that's because they've only read Born Again because it's on all the lists. When, he made Kingpin and Bullseye into Daredevil's main villains, gave him a clear backstory and explanation of his powers, created the hand, created Stick, and set the tone that Daredevil would be set with for decades. This story comes off a storyline in Frank Miller's Daredevil, which after an attack on the Kingpin, it is presumed that his wife Vanessa is dead. Turns out she lost her memory and is living in a sewer as a bag lady, and there's a sewer king character and stuff, but Daredevil saves her in issue 180 and gives her back to the Kingpin as a bargaining deal. This now leads directly into Daredevil Love and War. Vanessa is an amnesiac who needs proper treatment as Kingpin hires this rat-looking man named Victor to kidnap a doctor's blind wife as ransom over the doctor's head to treat Vanessa. The book mainly focuses on Kingpin and his one-sided disturbing love of Vanessa. Kingpin, the most powerful crime lord in America, not being able to be with the one thing he desires, his wife. Something important to know is that this book wasn't written and intended to come out before Born Again, which explains Kingpin's decisions in that book more, knowing what Daredevil does to him in this. So it's a 60-page graphic novel focusing primarily on our dark vigilante's main villain and giving him a tragic story. And a legendary writer teamed up with an also legendary artist. So it's the Killing Joke before the Killing Joke, but with Daredevil and the Kingpin. The most notable thing about this entire book, and what strikes out the most, is Sienkiewicz's masterful impressionistic art. It is absolutely gorgeous. Victor is drawn almost like a scarecrow, drawn with his disgusting face and hair is profound. Daredevil is drawn like a red phantom, the watercolor paint making him not even look real, but most striking is the Kingpin. He's drawn like a boulder, a huge mass with a sunken face like a monument. The book is about these characters, these men, and their relationships to their women, specifically seeing themselves as white knights in shining armor. Daredevil has been with and lost so many women in his life, and it's become routine. And Cheryl, the doctor's wife, is a siren-like temptress to him. The only person to make Kingpin feel human is Vanessa, and Victor sees himself in his mind as a valiant knight with his kidnapped woman Cheryl as his princess. Victor's inner monologues are him describing his disgusting existence as an epic tale of a knight versus a dark prince, the Daredevil. He describes his little knife as a sword, becoming more and more delusional in his fantasy as the book goes on, paralleling Kingpin feeling less and less human as a result of his disconnection from Vanessa. With Victor and Matt, there's a lot of connections. Matt's time with Cheryl is beautifully painted and incredibly sensual, the way Victor imagines his night life. There's also a scene where Daredevil interrogates Turk using black panels and Daredevil not speaking. This comes back again with Victor and the voices in his head being represented by black panels and only us hearing his audible reactions. They're like mirrors to each other almost, emotionally and psychologically. We see over the course of the book Vanessa's recovery, slowly the doctor he kidnaps, Mondat, being very effective. We see Kingpin fall apart slowly until the children's blocks Vanessa writes with, they write escape, shattering how he sees his wife. It portrays Kingpin as so frail, a man who casually has people killed, is threatened by men and superheroes and doesn't blink. But when the woman he loves doesn't want to be with him anymore, he can no longer function. Something you may have noticed is that this book heavily influenced the movie Into the Spider-Verse and its portrayal of the Kingpin, with him trying to get Vanessa and his son back, obviously along with his portrait explicitly referencing the final page of this book. It takes a lot from Sienkiewicz in its art style and portrayal of the Kingpin and his personality. I mean, something to remember is that Kingpin was only a minor Spider-Man villain until Frank Miller used him in Daredevil, making him his main antagonist. He turned him into one of the best villains in the medium and into a character more personal with more depth than just a crime boss. But with this, he takes away a lot of the power he gave Kingpin and his personality, and like strips him away and deconstructs the character, not like metaphorically, but literally in the emotionally in the comic book. He is destroyed. I mean, the book climaxes with 4 of the most beautiful and haunting pages of any comic I've ever read. Victor finds Cheryl is being held safe in Murdoch's home and breaks in. He tries to murder her as he's having a complete mental breakdown before she grabs a hot poker and pins him down. We see her above him and tears in her blind eyes. Victor says, "Now we ride off on my white horse into the sunlight, strike your hair. I love you, Cheryl." Then we see in a white text box, CH. Then the next panel is Cheryl stabbing a hot poker through Victor's head. And the next page is completely wordless, and we see a knight riding with his princess into a sunset. Victor getting his dream in death. It's gorgeous. It's haunting. It's consumed by red. It's one of the most beautiful pages I've ever seen. The next page is Daredevil at the airport seeing the Doctor leaving on a plane with Vanessa. Vanessa with a new identity in life. Escaping. Kingpin will never see his wife again, and I'll pray for him. Are Murdoch's final words in the book. Then the most iconic page from this book, Kingpin's body filling up most of the frame, this big splash page, a huge man, his head hanging low, and we get a repeat of the monologue from the opening of the comic book. I have everything I've desired. He has everything except for Vanessa. He has nothing now. The book is a tragedy. Kingpin saw something in his love that wasn't there, and she just wanted to leave. But that love was what made him human. The truth is that he doesn't really care about his power. It's meaningless to him. This, of course, makes his turn in Born Again make a bit more sense, but I feel this is a perfect standalone graphic novel. One of my favorite Daredevil books next to Daredevil Yellow. Might be my favorite Daredevil comic, period. And I recommend it to everyone. It's about a 20 to 30 minute read for me, but it's worth reading. It's on Marvel Unlimited. You can pirate it, of course. You're not going to find many good reprints, but I think every Daredevil fan should at least give this a read once. If you like the Daredevil show and like the unfunny Kingpin memes, I think you should definitely check it out. Now, what would I give it out of 10? It doesn't matter. Ratings don't matter, but I give Daredevil Love and War a 10 out of 10. It's part of Deet's Essential Comics. We'll make that list now. Anyway, I've been Deet. Have a happy Frank Miller summer. Later, man.
Suddenly